You love Trotsky? Well, another Trotsky, national focus path for Norway. And at first I thought, oh no, are we going to try and put Trotsky in every single nation in Hoi 4? Well, there's actual historical context to it. Here we go. The permanent revolution. Lev Trotsky, which gives you non-core manpower. That's right for conquest. However, you do lose stability whilst at war. Interesting. And also, you reduce stability. Hang on. Do you want me to go to war or do you not want me to go to war? Anyway, this is the alt history path for Norway. All the alt history paths. Be aware, I'm not a big fan of national focuses, so I probably will skip over a lot of the details to this, and you're just going to get a nice, short, conformed, small version of this. I'll probably play this, really enjoy it. However, reading out on a dev diary isn't my cup of tea. So, before Trotsky went to Mexico, he was exiled initially in Norway. And at the very, very, very start of the game, you're given an event chain to see if you want to go down the communist path. And of course, if you go down the communist path, you keep Trotsky around. If you exile him, he ends up going to Mexico, and then shenanigans happen in Mexico. Maybe not involving an ice pick, maybe do involving an ice pick, depending on what the Mexican focus tree allows you to go down. This is the event chain for Trotsky. Do you want to crack down on his dissent, or do you want to embrace communism? And eventually, he eventually gets the boot and ends up going to Mexico, if that's the path you choose to do. This is the focus tree. So we have the compromise with the NKP and prosecute the NKP. I will say this follows a very similar path to other focus trees. You either go the Stalinist communism or the alt communism. The alt communism can be anarchism, Trotskyism, or other versions of communism that I'm not aware of until today. Here we go. So we compromise with the NKP. You need 10% support for this, and pretty standard buffs you get. And it does give you a boost in relations with the Soviet Union. So this tells me this is the Stalinist path, where they prosecute the NKP. It looks to me like the communist path, which gives a big boost to construction. 12% construction if you hire this advisor. That's pretty good. Factories and infrastructure face significant damage during the revolution. The player can take actions to mitigate the damage and bolster the revolutionary forces, potentially altering the outcome. And by looks, you can do this by spending political power and getting 3 lights. Kind of reminds me a little of like the British path, where you empower the black shirts by marching across the country. This is like the way you can get action to push Norway towards communism. It's interesting how Paradox created kind of a sandbox style game, which every nation worked very similarly, but with every expansion and rework and national focus, they create these like mini in-game mini mechanics. I'll admit, it's kind of a hit or miss sometimes, because sometimes you get like Bulgaria's focus tree with like a spreadsheet of ideologies, which is just not very fun. But then you get really cool focuses like Italians and the balance of power, which is a more simplified system, which I think is more visually appealing. Will this be any good? I don't know. It's one of those kind of like, let me play with it, see if it's fun. If it is fun, then go from there, I guess. My only downside to these paths is it kind of has an artificial speed bump to kind of slow down your progress towards communism. And you kind of want to flip to communism as quick as you can, because the world tension gets high and then you can't really do anything because Britain's guaranteeing everything. Are we ever going to get a rework how Britain guarantees stuff? I don't know. Maybe not. War with Finland. So I think this is the communist Stalin path. And it gives some insane bonuses. These bonuses are awesome. And you're basically double teaming Finland, Stalin, and Norway. Amazing. This is really cool. Oh, I love this so much. This is so cool. So the normal way you do a focus tree is you declare war with a 70-day focus. It's pretty vanilla. But look at this. Look at this. You declare war on all of Scandinavia. Wow. And Finland. I'm sorry. Ooh, everyone gets angry with that. That's a very sensitive point, everyone. I say Finland and Scandinavia, and I'm like, ooh, my anger. Anyway, yeah, you can declare war on everyone. Form Scandinavia as Norway. That is so cool. That is so cool. Listen, it's a war game. It's about painting the map. I enjoy painting the map. Give me every opportunity to paint the map. This is so cool. And it also gives 0.5 political power per day. That's really strong. Introduction to the monarchist path. Wow, monarchies. And also an alternative democratic path, which focuses more about rearmament. So instead of being a pacifistic, waiting for the Germans to arrive in Norway, you can be like, you know what? Let's make some guns early. Does that sound like a good idea? Let's do it. But still stay democratic. And it also gives the option to join the allies early. Interesting. This is the preparedness for war. I think this was part of the previous focus tree we already saw, but I presume we get extra preparedness if we go for the alternative democratic path. The balance of power is such a good system because it visually shows the nation moving in one or the other direction. I don't really like this like arbitrary number as a part of decisions to represent preparedness. Isn't that what war support is for? Why would you create a system that does the same thing as war support and can be used in the same degree? I prefer if they used the existing game mechanics for certain things and didn't have to introduce extra numbers within extra menus. I don't know, just my personal preference. Prepare for war. Gain 1 civilian factory, but you will lose weekly stability. This is so cool. This reminds me of the Churchill path. So if you get Churchill in charge and you say, no more appeasement, that will give you access to more war support, but you lose stability. That's so cool. This is interesting. Prepare for the war, and it gives aluminium. You lose political power, but you gain population. I like it when you play as a nation that has a lack of something, and Norway doesn't have a big population. So if you give me the option to press a button to gain more of that population from a balancing perspective, I like that a lot. I like it. I like it. So prepared for war, when active, gains construction speed of factories by 30%. Wow, that's an eye-watering amount. Very prepared. So this looks like the alternative fascist path. And there's a lot going on here. I just see this one at the bottom. Can you see this? Claims on Scotland. Well, so I like this. So to sacrifice the democracy and to go towards the alternative fascism, you've got a reduction of stability. So you're using the in-game mechanics to affect a certain thing. But then if you look here, we still got the Norway total sport support for this, I guess, this fascist leader, I'm presuming. Just to recap, because I don't want this dev diary to come across doom and gloom. I just don't like it when there's an extra and arbitrary number created for a nation, when there's already numbers in game that we can use, for instance, stability and war support. I just think that's a bit of a strange system. And I also like the way the balance of power works, because it visually shows a nation moving left or right, where it's like I have to dig into a menu here to see another number, which I just feel like it'd be more visual if it was using as existing mechanics or a balance of power. All right, so this is the gentleman. Gets an event. Norway wants to invade their country. Invite the German Reich to invade Norway. Invite them to invade. Oh, so this is similar to the fascist path, where kind of you create a puppet state as Norway and you kind of like inviting the Germans to overthrow your existing government. So here we go at the very bottom. We have claims on Scotland and Old Vinland. Gains the event of Norwegian territorial demands. If they accept, Newfoundland will become a part of your nation. Labrador will be as well. And you gain a CB against the United Kingdom if they say no. You know on historical they're going to say no. These focuses would be a little bit better if it fired an event and you had multiple choices. Like you could buy the nation, for instance. Because I don't like this as like a roll of the dice. It's like yes or no. If he said no, I get a war goal. Hey. It'd be kind of cool if there'd be a way of actually paying for it with civilian factories or something. I don't know. And we have the monarchist. He's a regent and he loses political power, but he gains a massive amount of stability. That's a reoccurring theme with monarchist paths, isn't it? They all gain stability. And once again, we're doing the same thing. We're pressing buttons around the map to gain monarchist support. However, this severely damages your industry and it costs manpower. This is big because this is the first time I've seen an on-map decision require manpower. And I've always said that's what China needs, a way of using manpower as a resource to do said things, because China has an abundance of manpower. So it'd be kind of cool if you could invest that into something to actually need the excess manpower, for instance, you know. The transition to an absolute regency results in increase of building slots and defense capabilities. Rally around the paternal autocrat. You can appoint him to the army and also appoint him to the navy. Oh, and you can do one or the other, and it gives you a big boost of command power and XP. 65 army XP is pretty juicy, though. Pretty juicy. And finally, claims on the Faroe Islands. So you get to yoink the islands from Denmark. Become the owner. And if they say no, they're like, wartime, boys. Listen, some of us like vanilla, some of us like chocolate. We're all a little bit different. We all have personal preferences. Personally, national focus is particularly alt history past. Don't particularly really turn me on. I'm sorry if this seemed a little bit half-assed. Once again, I personally find features more exciting. Speaking of features, what do we have here?
Very characteristic conflict.
Oh my goodness.
Finland,
Manuel is in a tank.
With a very small army.
He's not messing around.
Soviet Union with a huge army in comparison. So what they did, for example, one of the most iconic tactics the Finnish troops used during the war was the Moti tactics, which basically means encircling Soviet
This is a good
units
feature.
on the way, because most of Finnish territory was very badly communicated in terms of infrastructure, roads, a lot of marshes, forest, very, very harsh terrain.
The short version of this is whenever you're in a certain state, you've got the option to deploy MOT tactics, which means that whenever the Soviets are within the state, they get severe penalties, but you can only do them within certain states. It's a really cool idea of weakening the Soviet Union, but then, for instance, I guess the Soviets could work around that by fighting in different areas. I guess in a weird kind of way, a little bit like the Spanish Civil War. Ooh, it actually is a lot like the Spanish Civil War, but kind of in reverse. Instead of preparing for an offensive, it does the opposite. Anyway, it gives you a penalty. The international markets.
So the international market is a new feature in Arms Against Tyranny.
Oh, Brad, look at that superhero pose.
For buying and selling equipment. This is something that previously you could only do via Lend-Lease, and you never got a reward for it. So you want to buy
Just
something
chilling on that tank, I see.
So let's go through how that works.
Having a good time.
So first of all, you're going to have to negotiate some market access with some countries. This is
That's the
an
shopping
agreement
channel.
between two countries that basically says, I want to buy from
Sale?
you, and I also don't mind selling to you. Once we've got that complete,
The
we'll be able to see
exclusive
within the market
Panzer 3.
screen
Who's going to buy this
all of the
Panzer 3
equipment
now,
that
huh?
country is currently selling, and simply we can click on a piece of equipment. Is an easy thing. First of all, we want to move our
Oh, here we go. Here we go, boys. Look at this. Gameplay.
equipment from the equipment stockpile to the market.
Oh, it's in the diplomacy thing, the one that no one ever presses. Can you remember this? Can you remember pressing this? I think I remember pressing this once to find out if India is a major power, then never again.
Stockpile. We do this via menus within the international market.
Oh!
When we choose our equipment,
So here you can buy equipment, and these are all the equipment on the market. Let's have a closer look. So we've got Britain here selling carrier planes, convoys, and trains. The Dutch are selling guns. The Swiss are selling fighters. Is this Norway selling convoys? Finland guns, Finland support equipment. Is that Honduras? Honduran guns? Wow. Trains from, is that Liberia or America? I think that's America. So there's a lot of like non-combat stuff here. Convoys and support equipment. Oh, wow. And trains. Oh, that's so cool.
when we choose our equipment that we want to put onto the market stockpile, we can
Oh, here we
choose its
go.
price. Low is for when we want to get rid of equipment quickly and cheaply, and high is for when we want to maximize our profit on our sales. More profiteering
Profits.
is the name of the game here. With the addition of the international market, along with
How good-
Lend-Lease
and I've
and
just
resource
read that.
trade, there is now an increasing amount of international trade connections across the world. To deal with this, we've improved our
Oh!
visualizations by now showing all of these within the trade menu,
Map mode,
and
boys!
also we show across land connections, so you can also see those. With the addition of the international market, there's obviously a lot of overlap with the Lend-Lease system. To improve this within the patch, we've chosen to change a few things. First of all, the Lend-Lease system now requires you to almost always have some level of world tension in order to trade. Puppets and Overlords no
Whoa.
longer automatically have access to Lend-Lease, and now require a reduced level of world tension in order to activate, and also
Okay, so Lend-Lease now isn't automatically unlocked for puppets. So Britain and Australia can't send themselves guns at the very start of the game. It's unlocked by world tension.
must be at war. Fascists and communists previously did not require any world tension limits. Now they have a world tension limit, just like unaligned and democracies.
Oh, they're patching my exploits, boys. Oh, so now there's a threshold now to Lend-Lease, regardless of ideology. So let's say you enter a civil war early game, which is common to rush the focus tree. You don't have the ability to get Lend-Lease from the Soviet Union or Italy or Germany.
The AI for the international market system takes a comprehensive step forward compared to any previous trade AI we've done. The AI is reactive to what its demands are and chooses whether or not it wants to purchase it from the market, how much, and when. This allows for the AI to be adaptive and not always just simply buy everything on the market.
Now we've seen what this can do. You know what this is going to mean? As a minor power, I ain't building any more trains anymore. I ain't building any more convoys anymore. I'll be using my actual naval dockyards to make ships. Because I'll be like, well, I'll just buy convoys from Britain, you know? Oh, man, that's so good. The first part of the video was pretty somber. And then the second half, I'm like a little excited child. Hey, if you enjoyed Dev Diaries, you want to see more of them, give this click here. And don't forget to like and subscribe. When I see you later, I'll see you guys soon. Toodaloo.